Hey, have you ever wondered how you can add more hours into your day, or maybe just how you can get more done with the time that you have in the day? You are not the only one. I have had those days too, and I will admit it, I still have those days. But with these 10 tips I'm going to be passing on to you, you are going to be able to save time and get more done as a busy mom. If you're new around here, hey, my name is Cassidy. I am a homeschooling, homemaking mama to 7 kiddos from 16 all the way down to 1. And I have been a stay-at-home mom or a homemaker for the last 12 years. So I got some experience. I have a lot of trial and error, and not to mention the challenge of being an ADHD mom. So when I say the tips and the tricks for time management is super important to me, I'm not joking. Whether you have 3 kiddos, 1 kiddo, or 7 kiddos like me, we're all busy moms and we have a lot to do and get done in our days, and saving time while doing it, and I know is important for me and is probably important for you if you're watching this. So if you're ready to get into these tips, go ahead and give this video a like. Don't forget to subscribe, and let's go ahead and get started. I do want to go ahead and start by saying, if you are a beginning stay-at-home mom or homemaker, if you're just starting out on your journey, or if you are the mom who's overwhelmed and stressed out and looking for some tips and tricks for you to like figure out, like manage, make some changes so that you're not feeling this way, I totally get where you're coming from. I'm so sorry you're there. And I remember when I was starting out, and so this is why I do this, is because I want to help moms who are feeling overwhelmed or just starting out, not knowing what to do, not knowing where to go, because I was that mom. And so it was really hard trying to figure all of this out. Like I said, I have a lot of trial and error. And so what I want you to do is, I don't want you to implement all of these 10 tips. I don't want you to go off the deep end and try to start doing all of these things. What I want you to do is just pick one thing that you're going to work on. One thing that you think is going to make a difference, but that is so tangible and doable for you. Not something too big, just something, one of these tips. Pick what you're going to do. Stick with that one thing for a couple weeks or even a week, just so that you can gain some confidence and some traction. Feel good about that thing that you're implementing, the change that you're making, and then start adding another thing in at a time. I do not want you to jump off the deep end. I know, at least for me, when I try to change too much, it becomes overwhelming. I become defeated, feeling like I cannot do this, I'm not enough, I just struggle with all of those feelings instead of feeling like I'm making a difference. So before you jump off the deep end and try to change everything, just pick one thing, please. One thing to change, stick with that. Let me know down in the comments what you're going to choose so that I can help you and just encourage you in that, give you any other extra tips that I have, okay? So one thing, and then we'll add in the rest. Now for the rest of us, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so for our first tip, where I'm gonna say that you could save a lot of time and get more done, is meal planning or meal prep. I combine the two because that's just what works for me, but I love a good solid meal plan because, one, it helps me save time and money, but also like during the week, it helps me to track things, and then the meal prep helps me save extra time, because what I will do is I will get like 10 pounds of ground beef, which is good enough for like 3 to 4 meals depending, because we are a family size of 9, and so 10 pounds of ground beef really isn't as much as you think, but for a family that's smaller, you could probably get way more meals out of that. What I'll do though is I cook it all up. I'll brown all of the ground beef, whether it's for like soup, tacos, spaghetti, whatever meal ideas that you have for the week. I will cook it all up at once. So I'm spending about 20 minutes to cook up the 10 pounds of ground beef. I do have a giant cast iron that helps me do that. And then I will break it up into Ziploc bags or whatever I need to. And then that way I just pull it out when I'm ready to cook dinner. And instead of spending 20 minutes 3 or 4 times during the week, I spend 20 minutes that one time, cook it all up, and then I'm done. So that is one way that I can save time and get more done. Okay, and then tip number 2 is creating a family command center, or at least having like a planner, calendar, something that is tracking what needs to get done, because making sure that you're like putting down appointments or meetings or activities or whatever, having it all in one place, I know really helps my family out. Not only does it help my family out, but I think having everything in one spot where the kiddos can see it, my husband can see it, like it helps remind me. I also put it in a place that I'm seeing a lot like throughout the day, throughout the week, because like I said, I do have ADHD. So being reminded of things, seeing it every single day really helps me out. My planner is my best friend. I actually have it down here right now. And I look at it every night before bed to see what is waiting for me the next day, just in case I forget. I look at it that morning to remind myself of what needs to be done. And then as I'm like checking things off during the day, I'm also seeing it and looking at the days ahead. So it really helps me stay on track as far as like time management is concerned, knowing what is going to be happening, what's coming up. I'm not missing things. I'm not forgetting things. It's really helpful. Again, this might just be like the ADHD in me that really helps, but just seeing it and reminding yourself time and time again. Not only that, it's also getting everybody in the family on the same page. So even if it's just your husband because you got littles and they can't read or they have no idea what's going on, I know for me with teens it really helps because they put their activities on the calendar. Also like practice, games, different school activities, whatever is going on, they put all of their stuff on there as well, and it really helps me out because I'm not the only one tracking all of these things or like having to be the one to put it on the calendar. Tip number 3 is going to be using a timer for tasks. Setting a timer, and my favorite thing is like a 10-minute timer, because you will be surprised how much you can get done. And there's something in us all that is like, oh, we only got 10 minutes, we need to just bust it out, like we need to get things done. And you would be surprised how much you can actually get done with a 10-minute timer. You think that it takes longer, but it really doesn't, because there will be times when I'm like, okay, I got 10 minutes to clean my bathroom really quick, and I'm like doing it, and then before I know it, I'm like, I have extra time to do other things. And that could be because I've been doing it long enough that I have a lot of practice cleaning the bathroom, but I noticed that if I set a 10-minute timer, whether it's for me or the kiddos, a lot more gets done and a lot faster. So like this is probably one of my favorite time-saving hacks, is using a timer to get tasks done. Not only that, you can also better understand how long it takes you to get certain things done, so you know how to manage your time better, or what you like the amount of things, because maybe it doesn't take you 10 minutes to clean the bathroom, maybe it takes you 15. So you work for those 10 minutes, and then the next time around you schedule yourself like 15 minutes to get it done. And this can like work for you, it works for the kids, it works for the family. Like if you set like a 10-minute, everybody's going to do a quick 10-minute timer, or a 10-minute cleanup, or a reset is kind of what we call it, is a reset, where we'll all work together in a certain room. Usually like we'll break it up in rooms, or maybe we all work in the same room. Like the living room is one area that, like, again, it's the living room, right? So it gets the most use, it gets the craziest, the toys, the books, all of that is in there, and so it gets out of control really fast. And so what we'll do is a 10-minute timer for the whole family. Everybody like will pick up, okay, like any trash, toys, books, like everybody gets an individual thing that they're focusing on, and it really helps. If you're enjoying these tips so far, would you mind giving this video a like, and then go ahead, what do you like so far, what's your favorite one, in the comments. And let's go ahead and get into tip number 4. So for tip number 4, we are going to delegate tasks. Like I had just said a little bit in the tip number 3 for the timing, having tasks for each individual person really helps. And so delegating tasks to your kids, like having chores specifically for them, is a great way to help you mitigate what you have to do. I know that it doesn't always work for everybody, because you could have little tiny ones, and then like really who are you gonna like delegate the task to? But just having certain tasks that you're responsible for, as your kids get older they're responsible for, or even if you do have little ones, help including them into the tasks, having them learn how to do those things, and like including them. It might take you more time in the forefront, but you're teaching them how to do these things, you're having a fun, like, I think, sure, it's gonna take way longer to load the dishwasher with my 4-year-old, but I'm teaching them how to do it. I'm raising them up to understand it. We're spending time doing something together, and it's getting done. And I have to like entertain them anyway, so why not just include them into the task that needs to be done, instead of trying to like keep them out of it, do what I need to do, getting frustrated, overwhelmed that they're needing me or my attention, or they want to help and they're not doing it well. Like letting that expectation of like it needs to be perfect go, and just including them in it will really help. And And number 5 is simplifying your morning routine, like streamlining it. And it doesn't actually start in the morning, it starts the night before. This is probably one of those things that I see the most in like mom groups or social media on here, is like, I want to be a 5 a.m. mom or a 6 a.m. mom. I need my morning routine to be better. I need it to be more streamlined. I need it to be more productive. And I oftentimes will ask, like, okay, well, what are you doing the night before to set yourself up for in the like morning time? Like, you need to make sure, like, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm such a mom bee, like a mom zombie, in the morning, because like I'm going to bed so late and all of that. It's like, well, if you don't have enough, if you're not getting enough sleep, or at least a good amount of sleep, and I know that's not always possible with like new babies, nursing, or feeding in the nights, like I know there's things like that, but if you're not getting an adequate amount of sleep in like the night before, you can't expect to be productive and want to get up early and do all of these things in the morning. And no amount of coffee is going to help you do that, because it's like a whole mind thing. If we're not taking care of our brains, giving it the sleep that it needs, feeding it right, we're not going to be able to do all the things that we're wanting to do. And one of the things that have really been helpful, because I don't eat perfectly, I don't get a good amount of sleep every single time, but making sure that I'm set up the night before, I lay out my outfits, I don't have to sit here and think through it, I don't have to sit here and try to find this or that. Like, I have it all ready to go the night before, knowing what I'm going to be making for breakfast the next morning, having that laid out if I need to, or if it's like cereal or something like that the bigger kids can help with, or oatmeal, I'll just leave the things out with some bowls and spoons so they know, hey, this is what is for breakfast in the morning. They don't need me to help make it. That's one of the things that helps set me up. Like I said, like looking at my planner, knowing what is going to be happening the next morning really helps. Taking a shower the night before, like that's something that I've been doing for a long time, because trying to do all of that in that morning, especially when the kids are up, it's like a fight. And then I feel like overwhelmed and stressed out because I'm not doing these things and I'm feeling behind. And I like to wake up before my kids. Like, that's part of my morning routine, is waking up, you know, most mornings hopefully before the kiddos, because it's different when you're like your mindset of like waking up before the kids, getting stuff done, having time to sit there and sip on your coffee, read your Bible, whatever it is you do, work out, whatever, doing all of that, taking care of yourself, having some quiet time before the day starts, and like receiving your kids, versus waking up to your kids asking you for a bunch of stuff. So you're like waking up in this like startled space in your brain, versus like slowly waking up and warming up to the things you do. So I highly suggest having a simple morning routine, but starting the night before, setting yourself up for success in the morning, so that you are in the right headspace, that you are feeling prepared and ready to go, and just having those things, simplifying, like breakfast, having breakfast ready to go or laid out, having lunches made or planned out, having outfits laid out, whatever it is, like doing those little simple things that don't actually take a whole lot of time, but having it all ready to go the night before, to where you're waking up and it's already done, will help you, especially if you have kiddos that like go to school, or if you work. It's a lot easier if you have things set up and ready to go, to like receive you and it's already done. You don't have to think through it, especially like in the morning when you're like groggy or cranky, or you didn't get a good night's sleep. Like having that all like done and ready waiting for you is a lot different than having to like frantically figure it all out. So having a simplified morning routine starting the night before, that's tip number 5. Okay, and then for tip number 6, this one I kind of struggle with because of the ADHD, but I really do think that it is worth mentioning, and that is using technology to your advantage. So like I had mentioned before, like using a planner, a calendar, there are a bunch of apps that you can use. I really like Bright. They have, I feel like everything is all there. They have great reminders. It's the setup. I have like work stuff, home stuff, personal stuff. Like I have it all on there, and it helps keeps me accountable and helps me track my time and stuff like that, right? So I really like that app. Not to mention it can link up to like your Google Calendar, your Apple Calendar, and my husband has a Samsung, I have an Apple, so we use Google Calendar to like connect our calendars together, and I can do both of those through the Bright app. So I really like it. But there are a ton of technology, like there's tons of apps and things that you can use. You can track your meal plans, you can track your cleaning routines, you can like leave notes and stuff like that. There's there's a notebook app where you can have like different notebooks for each thing, and I am a notebook fan. But like in the notebook app, you can have different notebooks for each like whatever. You can link like recipes or different things that you find, like you can put it all in there and have it there, which is super great. And I have to figure out how I can streamline over to Bright, because I'd like to have just one app, because again, with the ADHD, like technology can be it can distract me. It can be like a time thief, because before I know it, I'm trying to go on my app to do something, and then the next thing I know, I'm scrolling Instagram or like YouTube shorts or whatever. And so okay, and so tip number 7, having the power of no, like saying no is not something that comes easy to most women, moms. Having the power of no and being able to use it rightly, as far as like, if it is not a priority, if it is gonna take your time and attention away from what truly matters or what really needs to get done, then you need to be able to say no. And knowing what your priorities are, what your goals are, what like your commitments are, and then, you know, being able to say no to anybody. And it, like, here's the thing, like, I would rather somebody say no to me than feel like they have to do something that's completely overwhelming and stressing them out, if that makes sense. I remember reading a book, I think it was by Lisa Turkhurst, and it was The Best Yes, I think that's what it was called. And I can't remember, like this was years ago, like so long ago, I don't even remember like the full extent of it, but what I really remember is the best yes, saying yes to the things that matter, that are important, that are worth your time and energy, that isn't going to like overwhelm, stress you out, or add this extra stuff. And it was like knowing just because it's a good thing doesn't mean it's a yes. It could just not be the right thing during that time or that season or that day. And so knowing when to say no and actually doing it is one of the things that I will say is super powerful, because you're putting up those boundaries, right, over what is important, what matters, and you're putting your time and attention to that, and you're not wasting your time on things that don't matter. Now, I know this is not everybody's favorite thing, or a lot of you probably already have like a cleaning routine, but making sure that you have a cleaning routine that it's getting to not just like the daily stuff, but you're getting to all of the areas, making sure that the things are getting done. I have a 2-week rotation cleaning schedule that I do. So there are 14 rooms or spaces in this house that I am responsible for, or that I need to like do a deep clean, because the kids do like the daily stuff and I do like a weekly or bi-weekly deep clean. That doesn't include the kids' bedrooms. Those are just more like as needed, as I see it, or I have time throughout the day, I will go and check those. But I have 14 rooms or spaces that I am responsible for, and so I have that on a 2-week rotation. So every week I'm working on one specific room each day, and that just helps me make sure that I'm getting to every room that I need to, doing the like deep cleans or like the weekly cleans of making sure things are swept and mopped or vacuumed, baseboards are getting wiped down, doors are getting wiped down, that kind of stuff. So like the daily, the kids are doing like, you know, bathrooms or the living room, dining room, kitchen, like they're doing tasks in that area, but just making sure that I have it on a schedule, because again, that ADHD stuff kicks in, right? And even if you don't have ADHD, like out of sight, out of mind, you forget that these things need to get done until it's like in your face and you're like, oh my gosh, when was the last time I cleaned this toilet? Or when was the last time I cleaned the shower? Or when was the last time I mopped these floors? Or who has, like the sticky chocolate monster has been touching all my walls and my faceplates on my like light switches and stuff, and so just having it on a regular basis. Okay, and then tip number 9 is one of my favorites, and it's using multitasking wisely. So one of the things I like to do, and for me to be able to like get my podcasts, my books, music, worship, whatever in, is often doing it with other tasks. So if you have the tasks like washing dishes, loading the dishwasher, doing laundry, like whether it's washing, drying, folding laundry, whatever it is, you have these like tasks that you have done 100 times, 1,000 times, 100,000 times. You could literally do it with your eyes closed, possibly. Well, maybe not like dishes because you have to see, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it's something that is so ingrained in you, you don't really need to focus and pay attention to doing it. It's like just, you know how to go through the motions. And those are the things that I highly suggest having, like a podcast or watching TV, if you have like a show you like to watch, or and this is like one of those things like self-care too. I think it's just about implementing it, being smart with your time and multitasking in a way that's wise, that you're not getting distracted or you're not being productive, right? So huge way to save some time getting more done. Like, you're able to read books, you're able to listen to your podcasts, you're getting better, you're developing, you're learning, but you're also still taking care of the task at hand. And I'm telling you, like, I have probably read at this point, like, I don't even know, like definitely over 100 or 200 books using my like Audible app. And that's how I do my podcasts and stuff like that. It's like literally as I'm doing these things, especially driving, oh my gosh, like the amount of books I've read just driving is insane. And you think like, oh, I only have like a 5-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute commute, like what am I going to get done? You'll be surprised at how much you can actually read in those 5 and 10-minute increments, just over daily, you know, like in the dropping the kids off, picking the kids up, extracurricular activities. Let's go ahead and get to last one, tip number 10, and I already kind of like alluded to this, but it's self-care. And I don't mean like this extravagant, you have to like take time away, because that wouldn't be really saving you time, but it's that idea of like, put your face mask on, making sure that you're taking care of yourself so that you can take care of others, making sure that you're fueling yourself so that you can fuel others. When by self-care, I mean making sure you're getting enough sleep, making sure that you're eating well, that you're getting that water on, moving your body, whether it's a 10-minute walk with a family or your own exercise where you can just like space out, because that's what I like to do, or, you know, reading your Bible, meditating, praying, like all of those things. It's taking care of yourself, fueling yourself, giving yourself what you need so that you can take care of your people wisely. So those are my 10 tips, top 10 tips for busy stay-at-home mamas, homemaking mamas, to make the most of their time, get more done in the day and save time doing it. I hope that you enjoyed this. If there's one that you are going to do or that you're really looking forward to implementing, please let me know down in the comments, because I would love to root you on. Don't forget to check down in the comments again or in the description so that you can see all the resources that I'm mentioning here. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. If you're wanting to grow in confidence and learning some ways that you can grow in confidence, then you should check out this video here, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!